Hi, and welcome to the channel. I'm going to be telling you guys a story today about one of only two survivors of an infamous serial killer and how he survived. Today's story is going to take you all the way back to September 27th, 1969. The story is of Cecilia and Brian. They were out for a relaxing evening at the lake, and it was a pretty pleasant evening, and they were having a picnic, and it was a pretty remote area, so you know they've got a blanket out, and they're really looking at spending some quality time together. And this particular part of the lake it's a pretty good walk. You know, the sun's going down, and you know it's really nice out, and they've just really been enjoying each other's company. You know, they were a bit surprised whenever an individual approaches them. Even more so the fact that you know he's wearing a hood. So this, of course, was a little strange. Kind of catches Brian off guard. Brian at first is kind of, you know, dismissive. He doesn't really seem to care too much that you know this guy's out here in the middle of nowhere where we're at, and he's wearing a hood, until he notices that the guy has a knife, a foot long knife to be exact, and he still wasn't really catching on as to what was going on until Cecilia noticed that he actually had a pistol in the other hand, and she says to him, "Oh my God, he's got a gun." After seeing the gun, Brian, of course, you know, he became much more serious. The hooded man tells him, he was like, "Look, I don't want to hurt you. I just want your money. I'm not really interested in any, you know, doing anything bad. I just need your money. I broke out of a prison in Montana, which was a pretty good ways away from where they currently were. Not a place you could walk to." And Cecilia's like, I don't have any money. I have 75 cents. That's all I've got. So I don't really have any money. And Brian, at this point, he almost over cooperative, I guess is what you would say. He was like, "Look, you know, I've got some money. You know, if you like, I could write you a check. Do you want me to give you my phone number? I can help you out. You know, maybe I can give you more help than just money." And the guy's like, "No, not interested in that." And this is where Brian tells him he's actually a sociology major at the local college. Both Cecilia and Brian were going to college together. They'd been a couple for quite some time, and so she was familiar with his almost quirky way about having conversations. She's just about panicked. He's trying to use his intellect to get an upper hand on this guy, but little does he know he's severely outclassed. The guy basically, you know, just reiterates, "Hey, look, I'm dangerous. I've already killed 2 guards escaping prison. Just give me the money." And then Brian says, "Well, is there anything else I can do, you know, to help?" And he, you know, the guy says, "Well, actually, there is. You can give me your car. My car's hot. I need a new car." That'll come into play here in a minute. Originally, the hooded man told him he didn't want to hurt him, but he's now holding them at gunpoint, knife in one hand, gun in the other. He actually brought along some pre-cut clothesline, and he gives it to Cecilia, and he says, "Here, tie him up first." And which she does. She ties his hands, you know, behind his back, and then he ties her up. And at this point, he goes, "Lay on your stomachs. I'm going to tie your feet up." And at this point, Brian begins to protest. He's like, "Hey, look, man, we're cooperating. You know, we're going to give you the money. We're giving you car keys. You don't have to tie our feet up. You know, we're kind of a ways out here, and it's starting to get dark." You know, Brian can kind of see that this was dangerous. I don't think he had really alluded yet to the fact that, or thought of the fact yet that this was way worse than just a typical robbery. This was going to be much more of a dangerous event. At this point, He holds the gun up. He goes, you know, I'm serious. He points the gun at him and tells him, hey, look, you're absolutely going to do what I tell you to do. I'm not playing anymore. So, of course, they cooperate, rolls over, ties him up. Once he gets both of them hogtied, he puts the pistol away, and Brian, you know, kind of a sigh of relief, hey, put the gun away. You know, now the guy's probably just going to take our wallet. And he turns to say something to Cecilia. And at that moment, he feels a sharp pain deep in his back. And then he feels it again. And then he feels it again and again. And at that moment, Brian realized he was being stabbed to death. Brian ends up being stabbed 8 times, and he actually feigns death. He falls over as if he's dead and plays dead. And at this point, the hooded man turns his attention to Cecilia, and he just continues to stab her over and over and over and over again. And there's really no information on what exactly happened, you know, as to why he wanted to do this. But Brian could kind of see what was going on, and he thought about trying to free his bonds, you know, get his hands out. Maybe he could stop this guy. But at this point, he was way too injured. So he continues to play dead. Once the hooded guy is done, he looks at both. He figures they're both dead. Nothing to worry about here. He turned and walked back to the road. Walks over to Brian's car, pulls out a marker, and actually leaves a message on the car, which was weird because if he was going to steal the car, why didn't he just take the car? So after he's been gone for a little while, Brian manages to kind of free himself of some of his restraints. And there's a passing by fisherman on the lake, and Brian manages to get his attention. The fisherman pulls out his binoculars, takes a look at what's going on, can clearly see something's wildly amiss. He's there with his 9-year-old son. He's not about to go over there and get involved into whatever this is. So he contacts the park rangers, relays the information to them where he saw this guy. The park rangers show up and the police get notified. Well, while all of this is going on, the hooded man drove to a Main Street phone booth, to the main 1231 Main Street, to a phone booth 27 miles away. And he places a call at around 7:40 at night, claiming that he knew what was going on, and also claiming responsibility, willingly and fully admitting what he had done, showing no remorse. You know, he calls in, you know, Officer Dave takes the call, and he hears the killer say, you know, kind of low, I want to report a murder. No, a double murder. They're 2 miles north of the park headquarters. They're in a white Volkswagen, and then there's a pause, and then he says, I'm the one that did it. Both of the victims here, both Cecilia and Brian, would actually initially survive the stabbing. They didn't die at the scene. They were both immediately taken to the hospital. Cecilia would later die of her wounds. She had multiple wounds, multiple stab wounds. But Brian, she would later pass, but Brian would actually end up making a full recovery. It would take him quite some time. This particular incident is one of the only 2 survivors to have ever survived a murder attempt from the Zodiac Killer. A lot of people don't know that this particular event is the only one where he was seen wearing a hood. Brian's account of what happened here has been studied by numerous investigators, and the markings on the door was kind of the beginning of it. This happened in September 27th of 1969, and the final Zodiac cipher appears to have been cracked just a little over a year ago. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's show. If you did, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. We're going to be making more content. We're going to try and upload 2 to 3 times a week, give you guys more as we go forward. But if you enjoyed the show, again, hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate you guys. Oh, by the way, thanks so much, and we'll look forward to another video soon. If you enjoy horror stories, true crime stories, murder stories, missing stories, to strange happenings, and all manner of mysteries, like and subscribe to the channel. We upload 2 to 3 times a week. Thanks so much.